Benjamin had never known silence like this. Not the silence of an empty room or a sleeping street. This was a different kind of quiet, alive, breathing, humming beneath the surface of the forest. He had arrived in Bali only 4 days ago, burned out, disconnected. The retreat center, nestled deep in the lush hills of Ubud, had promised peace. And for the first time in months, he had allowed himself to hope. Each morning, he woke with the sun, washed his face in a stone basin filled with cold spring water, and sat cross-legged in the open-air pavilion. Around him, others like him, strangers seeking stillness, sat with eyes closed, breathing in unison. But Benjamin's mind refused. His thoughts ran like wild dogs, regrets, memories, and above all, hunger. Not for food, but for something he couldn't name. That morning, he left the meditation early. His bare feet wandered down the slope, into a narrow path lined with ferns and bamboo. The air smelled of earth and rain. Insects chirped, birds called, and the forest whispered secrets he didn't yet understand. Then he saw her. She was standing waist-deep in the stream, back turned, scooping water with a clay pot. Her sarong clung to her skin. Her hair was a river of black silk. And in that moment, Benjamin forgot why he had come. He froze. She turned slightly, not enough to see him, but enough for him to see the curve of her jaw, the strength in her arms. She was not performing. She was not aware, and that made it worse. He stood there too long. When she finally stepped out of the water and disappeared into the trees, he felt his breath return. His chest was tight, his skin burned, and his heart was louder than it had ever been in meditation. He didn't tell anyone, not the retreat leader, not his roommate. That image had become his secret. But secrets in places like this don't stay quiet for long. Benjamin tried to meditate. Tried. He sat in the same open pavilion, listened to the same soft gongs echoing from the distant hills. But her image had carved itself into the walls of his mind. The stream, her shoulders, the stillness she carried. Every time he closed his eyes, she was there, not smiling, not speaking, just existing. And that was enough to break him. That night, he didn't sleep. He lay on the thin mat under the mosquito net, staring at the wooden ceiling fan spinning slowly above. Other guests snored softly, their breath rising and falling like ocean waves. But in Benjamin's mind, the forest stirred. The next morning, he did something different. Instead of joining the group at sunrise, he slipped out quietly and took the trail down toward the stream. He told himself it was for clarity, for peace, for connection with nature. But the truth was simpler and darker. He wanted to see her again. He waited near the edge of the trees. The stream sparkled in golden light. Mist floated above the water like a breath not yet exhaled. And then she appeared. Again, she was alone. Again, unaware. She carried a small bundle of herbs and flowers, humming a tune he didn't recognize but couldn't forget. This time, she didn't enter the water. She sat on a flat stone and slowly began unbraiding her hair, letting the strands fall freely like a curtain of night. Benjamin's heartbeat filled his ears. He knew he should turn away. He knew this wasn't why he came to Bali. But his legs didn't move. He watched, silent and ashamed, hidden by the ferns. Every second stretched like silk, delicate and dangerous. Then suddenly, a hand touched his shoulder. He nearly screamed. Turning around, he saw the retreat's spiritual guide, Master Surya, barefoot, calm-eyed, wrapped in white cotton robes. Benjamin couldn't breathe. His mouth opened, but no words came. He was caught, not just in place, but in truth. Surya said nothing, only looked at him for a long, long moment. Then, with a gesture, invited him to walk. No anger, no accusation, just a quiet request. Benjamin followed. They walked in silence. No trail, no destination, just roots, leaves, and the soft squish of bare feet on wet earth. Benjamin didn't dare speak. The forest shifted around them, birds pausing their song, wind slowing its breath, as if the world itself were waiting. After nearly an hour, they reached a small clearing. In the middle sat a shallow pond, still, murky, covered in green algae. A single white lotus floated on the surface. Master Surya finally turned to him. "Do you know why this pond doesn't move?" he asked gently. Benjamin shook his head. "Because it holds everything," Surya said. "The light, the darkness, the leaves, the mud, the dreams." He stepped closer to the edge and pointed. "If you throw a stone in it, what happens?" Benjamin looked. "It ripples." "Exactly," said Surya. "Now imagine throwing thoughts into your own mind. One thought, one image, one impulse. It doesn't vanish. It stirs everything." Benjamin swallowed hard. Surya crouched down, cupped some of the water in his palm, and let it drip back. "Tell me," he said quietly, "if you had to walk through this pond, would you take your shoes off?" Benjamin hesitated. "Of course. It's dirty." "Ah," Surya smiled softly. "So, you would protect your shoes, but not your mind." The words struck like thunder. Benjamin's chest tightened. Surya continued, his voice calm but firm. "You came here to heal, to cleanse, but you let your thoughts follow beauty into shadow. You fed desire with silence. You drank from a stream, and now it floods you." Benjamin's throat burned. He felt the shame bloom in his chest like fire. He started, but no excuses came. Surya raised a hand. "Falling is not failure, Benjamin," he said. "But refusing to rise is." He pointed to the pond again. "You can walk through it, or you can clean it." Then he turned and walked away, disappearing into the trees, leaving Benjamin alone with the reflection of his own choices. Benjamin didn't move for a long time. He sat by the pond, knees pulled to his chest, staring at the single white lotus floating in the murk. The sun was climbing higher, cutting through the trees in long golden blades. But inside him, It was still night. He had come here to escape himself. And yet, here he was, face to face with the very parts he thought he'd left behind. Desire, shame, longing. The girl by the stream had never done anything wrong. She had simply existed, but he had turned her presence into a mirror, and the reflection he saw terrified him. He stood up slowly. His legs were stiff, but his mind had begun to soften. That evening, he didn't go down to the stream. He sat through the meditation, eyes closed, breath deep. For the first time, the noise inside was quieter than the silence outside. The next day, when he passed the trail, he bowed his head, not in fear, but in respect. He didn't need to see her again, because she had already shown him everything. Weeks passed. Benjamin began rising before the others. He helped in the gardens, listened more, spoke less. He wasn't trying to heal anymore. He was learning to be present with the cracks. One morning, Surya called him over. "Come," the master said. "You've avoided the stream long enough. Let's go down together." Benjamin followed, unsure. When they reached the water, the girl was there again. But this time, she wasn't alone. A child held her hand. Her husband gathered fruit nearby. She looked up and smiled at them both, then went back to her task. And just like that, the spell broke. Benjamin's breath came easy. His body relaxed. There was no fire, no ache, just calm recognition. He looked at Surya. "I see her clearly now," Benjamin said. Surya nodded. "Because you've finally seen yourself." That night, Benjamin sat beside the pond again. The water was still muddy, but the lotus glowed in the moonlight. And for the first time, he didn't want to change anything. He just wanted to stay awake.